Would you hear?
No, absolutely
go
not.
for it.
I could still kill motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Would you hear?
No.
How are you, sir?
My goodness, your shirt is fantastic, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I love that.
Appreciate it.
That's a new design, I'm sure.
It is. It's called matching in with the green screen. And welcome to the Greens and Bishop Show here with you on a very special night, Friday night, and a very special time, a little earlier than what we normally are on any given night. That's because we have a very important interview tonight, very special interview. We have Kane Hodder, of course, from Friday the 13th fame, Hatchet fame.
Hatchet. Yeah, this guy is probably, as far as character actors go, and just really knocking it out of the park. Kane Hodder is probably top of the list. I mean, his work as Jason, no one is at the level he is with that. That's after him. There couldn't be anybody else. It was almost like trying to figure out who else was going to be, Freddy Krueger. His work with that is fantastic. He also wrote a book. He's been a stuntman for many, many years, an actor. Even in his book, he talked about an accident he had, which I'm going to see if he wants to touch on that for a minute, because I do have a few questions about that. I want to talk about what's going to go on with the Jason franchise from here on out. Who keeps freezing? You keep freezing. But yeah, so we're going to have him on and, chit chat. See what he's got to say, see what's going on with him right now, see what his future projects are, and, just reminisce about some of the stuff he's done. Also want to talk about the video game, because he did all the motion acting for the video game.
With that being said, I enjoyed watching Bill Moseley's safety or how-to videos with Kane Hodder. And speaking of Kane Hodder, we got him on the line. Kane Hodder, everyone.
Oh my God. Look at this guy.
How you doing, guys?
How is it going, Kane? You doing all right, brother?
Yeah, sorry about the background. It's not real attractive, but
No,
I like it.
Look at it.
It's real. It's gritty. You don't know what's going to happen, and it kind of keeps you in suspense. You just never know what might happen in Kane Hodder's garage.
That's true. And
man,
what has already happened.
Now, I was sitting here and we were talking about how you have a legendary, as Bishop said, gait. You have a legendary walk. The way you hold yourself is unlike anyone else. And how did this come about? Is this something you perfected? Did you have when you were going to play Jason, you're like, this is the way I want to walk?
Actually, what I found worked the best whenever I was contemplating a scene is what felt natural. And if I tried too hard, then it didn't look natural. And then it looked like I was acting, and then it takes you out of everything. So I just tried to just do what I thought felt good.
Right.
And, it sounds simple, but it really ended up being the best thing for me.
Yeah. And see, as a fan of the Friday the 13th movies, once you became Jason, there was no one else that could play Jason to me, because it was just something about it. I mean, the way you would move and just everything made you feel like that character was authentic. It was something to fear, and that it was something otherworldly that you could just not defeat. And that's how it came across. So, to me, if they make any more, they need you. They got to bring you back, man.
Come on. How much I would like to do one more film as the character.
Right.
I mean, it would be the 13th movie.
Yeah.
The only person to play the character in more than one. Bring me back. I can still. Do I have to watch my language here?
No, absolutely
go
not.
for it.
I can still kill motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Don't doubt me, Bishop.
I mean, and it's like, a no-brainer. It's almost like when they sit around and talk about how they want to do, a new Nightmare on Elm Street, but they're thinking about someone other than Robert Englund. I'm sorry. Since he's done it so long and he did it, that's who it is, ingrained in your mind. And when I think of Jason, I think of you. I think that's the character, and then when I think about how, I'll always think of you as Jason, and then you go and do the Hatchet movies, and I'm like, wow, he's Victor Crowley now. I think of him as a whole nother character, which in that genre of slasher the crazed killer in the woods kind of thing. The Hatchet movies, I mean, they went somewhere where I'd wish the Friday 13th movies would have went. I mean, because they had the kills were all tamed down. My favorite kill in any Friday 13th movie is the sleeping bag against a tree. I mean,
what was your favorite, Kane?
What was your favorite?
Well, the favorite Jason kill is definitely sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Because, I always say it, but when you kill someone with something that's not a weapon,
yeah,
that's pretty creative. And I loved the idea from the first moment I read the script. Before I was even officially cast, Beekler let me read some of the script. And from the first time I read that, I said, oh, that is going to be iconic. Whether it's me or not, it's going to be an iconic kill. And sure enough, it was. And the only kill that I've ever done that kind of beat that was the Mrs. Permadio kill in the first Hatchet movie with this.
Yeah. And I remember seeing it for the first time. I'm sitting on my couch with my wife. We always cut the lights out when I'm going to watch a movie like that. And I'm like, holy shit. I was like, did you see what they just did? I was like, this movie's going to be great. I mean, this is going to be my kind of movie. And
you can imagine.
It looked real.
Yep. And you can imagine the pressure there was to do that shot because we had one take.
Right.
We only had one prosthetic head.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was a camera move and it had to be timed perfectly. And Adam was so worried that I was going to do it too early before the camera came all the way around or something. But, it worked out great. And the thing about the Hatchet movies is that, I was offered a character that I could develop from the beginning. When I stepped in to play Jason, 6 other people technically had played the character. So, it wasn't like I could just do whatever I wanted and not even think about the other performances because I don't think that's wise. I tried to incorporate little nuances from all the other performances, just even if it didn't read on camera, it was for my satisfaction where I know that I may look different, than Jason has looked before and maybe a little more character things like the breathing and stuff like that I add, but I don't want to totally ignore the guys that came before me because that would be kind of shitty to do to them because they were Jason before me. So, and I think you already know this, but it was so ironic that in 1975, I was in stunt school in Santa Monica, a place called Paul Stater's Stunt School. And one of the other students in the school was Tom Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so ironic that we would both end up, there was like 8-10 students in the school, and we would both go on to play the same character at different times. I think that's incredibly coincidental.
And to go into something like stuntman school, as you were saying, to become a stuntman, that has to be one of the toughest jobs in the world. And 2, you got to have balls of steel to do some of the stuff you guys do. I mean, let's face it, there's people who have died doing these stunts. There are people who have injured themselves permanently. It's no child's play. It's the real thing. And you guys are out there risking it. Did you ever consider, I know after you had your accident and everything, did you ever say, you know what? I got to get out of this. I got to quit. This isn't for me. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I want to be an accountant.
You would think I must have had those thoughts, but honestly, I never did. I thought, I just learned a big lesson, and it didn't kill me. It may have scarred me permanently, but let me remember that lesson and not get too ahead of myself because that's what I did. I thought I knew more than I actually did at the time. And, you do some crazy, amazing stunts early in a career and you walk away unscathed from that. It kind of works on your head thinking that, I don't think I can be hurt, So you have to be very aware to not get carried away with that way of thinking. And I just, even when I was in the hospital with the burns, my parents thought, well, I guess this will be the end of his idea about being a Hollywood stuntman. And you know, it never occurred to me at all. It just was a setback, and you know, I would just continue when I could. So
how long did that take you to rehab and get back to normal?
Well, I was in the hospital for 5.5 months.
Oh my gosh.
Straight. That's not in and out. That's
Right,
one stay. And then, you know, when I got out, I could barely do anything for myself because of the limitations with the scars.
Sure.
So it took me another 6 months before I could get back to any kind of stunt work. And, you know, the ironic thing is the only thing I had done professionally in my career before I got burned was an episode of the TV show Emergency.
Okay.
And that was 6 months before I got burned. And ironically, I played a workman that had been burned.
Oh no.
Yeah. And that was the only real thing. I had done a lot of live stunt shows and stuff, but that was the only real professional thing I had done. And then for, you know, the next year and a half after I was out of the hospital, I had to wear something called jobst, which is tight-fitting garment that you wear to keep pressure on the scars while the scar tissue matures.
Okay.
If you don't keep constant pressure on the scars while it matures, it'll get really bumpy. And if you do keep constant pressure, it'll keep it much smoother so that the scars are less noticeable. Because, you know, that's part of the rehab you go through is like, oh, wow, I'm 22 and now I'm going to have these scars for the rest of my life that everybody's always going to see. So you try to do what you can to limit it. And if you ever see an episode, the first thing I did when I finally got back after the burn injury was an episode of Wonder Woman.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you ever watch the episode, you can see me. It's odd because it takes place at like a sci-fi convention, the episode. And I'm a patron.
Ironic. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, how many of those do I do? But you can see that I'm wearing that garment on the episode. So it's kind of like, kind of a nice reminder of when things were getting better.
Do you think it may have driven you just a little harder at that point, like where it would break some people? Maybe it went the other way with you, and it made you more resolute to try and, you know, prove that this was for you and that this was what you should be doing.
I think that's a great way to put it because, you know, my family, my friends, as I said, were like, I guess this will be the end of his idea. So considering I didn't feel that way at all, it was much more of that. Wait a minute, I'm going to show you that I didn't fucking make a mistake.
No,
I made an error, but I didn't make a mistake on my career path. And I wanted to show everyone. And unfortunately, my dad died before I could get to that point.
Right.
So he never really saw me do anything. Because you know, once I finally got back to work and trying to work a little bit, he like died within a year and a half. So I hadn't really done anything, and that'll always bother me for the rest of my life that I couldn't show him. See, I was
right. I was right after all.
I was right, but my mom, oh my God, she fucking loved it. I got her.
That's great.
Not just the stunt stuff. She loved the fact that I played Jason, and we had crew jackets from Part 7, big hockey mask on the back. Sometimes I wear it to conventions. Mine, Friday the 13th, Part 7, the New Blood up here, and over here on hers it said Jason's mom.
Oh man,
she would wear that.
Don't get no better than that.
90 degrees out, and she'd be wearing the fucking thing.
She loved.
People would say, what does that mean? And, oh, let me tell you.
She loved that. She loved you, and she loved that. I mean, she was
that
really
great.
proud. I mean, as a parent, that screams pride, and that's something that we all work for. I mean, we all want to make our parents proud. We all want to do that kind of thing. Something I had read, I don't know if it's true. You tell me it's bullshit if it is. That you were slated. Let's say, I don't want to say slated, but you were up for the role of the original Freddy Krueger for Nightmare on Elm Street. Is that true?
Well, kind of.
Okay.
The story I've told is that I had done a movie called The Hills Have Eyes 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I met Berryman. That's where I met Wes Craven. And he, on the set of that movie, he was telling me about this character he was developing that's going to have real burn scars. And he said, I'm thinking about using an actor that really has burn scars. And I thought, sure, I'd do that. I'd do that in a second. I got the scars. I don't mind using them because I've done it many times since then where, it just adds to a character, kind of scary looking, the scars. And so he said, I think I'm going to call this character Fred Krueger, and he's going to have burn scars. And then, that's the last he talked to me about it. And obviously they went with.
Can you imagine though? I mean, a huge hulking
right.
Freddy Krueger. I mean, that'd be it would be,
it would change it.
It'd be so different. It would not even be remotely the same because, physically he'd be menacing. It wouldn't just be that he's burned and it's scary and he's walking around with claws, but physically menacing like that? That'd be ridiculous. I mean, that would be unbelievable.
That would have been pretty interesting. But I always, because I didn't play the character, I always call Freddy Jason's bitch. So that goes over well with Robert, you can imagine.
It should be like, hey, the guy from V is playing a guy with knives on his hand. You better watch out. Ooh, we're really scared of him. Watch out.
What shot did I do as Freddy, though?
Oh, that's the claw coming out of the hand for Jason Goes to Hell.
That's right.
Yeah. And look how great you did. I mean, I watched that part, I bet 50 times the first time I got it on video cassette. I was like, look at that. Kane Hodder pulling down the mask. Iconic. I mean, and that's the way it should have been.
I remember when I first read it, I said immediately to myself, when I first read the script, that's going to be my hand. I don't give a fuck what anyone else says, including the director who wanted to do it. I said, nope, that is going to be my hand in the Freddy glove. And it was built by the guy that built Robert's gloves. So it was very accurate. And I ended up keeping the glove.
I was going to say, did you steal that off the set? Because I was thinking right away, I was like, you had to keep that. Come on.
I did. That. And they came around looking for it. And I said, I don't know. I just left it right here. You should have kept an eye on it. And meanwhile, it's at my house.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, because I know I'd heard a rumor with Jason Goes to Hell, there was supposed to be a scene where I guess Freddy was down in hell and he had pulled Jason down. And they wanted to do a whole lot more with it, which, I know that happens a lot where they decide, hey, we're going to do all this in this film. And then they found out X, Y, Z and it didn't happen. Just like with Jason Takes Manhattan, it's in Manhattan 5 minutes. Right. So, it was still a good movie, but it was one of those movies when I watched it again the other night, I was like, I realized something for the first time. I told my wife, I said, why in the world are 20 kids going to Manhattan in what looks like an old oil tanker?
Right,
why couldn't they have got a better boat? The gas alone for this would have been astronomical just to get them there. That makes no sense whatsoever. But I mean, it'd been hard for them to hide in a pontoon boat. I mean,
well,
let's face it.
I'm just glad we did go to New York for one day at least.
Yeah.
Something. I mean, I was so excited to go there. And then when I found out it was only going to be one night at the end of principal photography, I was bummed, but I said, at least we're still going though. And as you already know, that was the single most amazing night of shooting I've ever had on a film, was being in New York City in Times Square in the full costume.
Yeah, when they do that pan around when he's standing in Times Square, when it was still Times Square,
Right.
It's amazing. It's like, wow, this could have been a whole different movie. Oh my God. If he'd got loose in Manhattan and got down in the sewers and they couldn't find him. I mean, my God, he would have been just wreaking havoc everywhere. You remember how he can go really fast from point A to point B? He goes through the sewers, pops up, boom, he's wherever he wants to be. He memorizes. I mean, he could have went a whole nother direction, but I digress. I
wanted to say something about Jason Goes to Hell too. You reminded me of, I was always a little concerned about the fact that, for however you want to explain it, the evil of Jason goes into other people.
Right.
And so it's going to be Jason, but it's going to look like somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, and I still am amazed that nobody thought this was a good idea besides myself, but I thought I would talk to all of the actors that are going to have the evil of Jason within them and see if we can come up with a little trademark move that I do when I'm Jason that they could do, which would make the viewer think, oh God, that still looks like Jason that I know because he did this.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be just a very cool, as a viewer, I think I would like that. And to every possible extent, none of the other actors thought that was a good idea.
It's the only thing that made sense, though. I mean, because if you watch some of the stuff, you're like, okay, he's moving like that, but there was some that were just like awful. I'm not trying to run down any of the actors, but their portrayal of the way they moved and stuff is like, this isn't real. This isn't how he would move. Because if you want to think about Jason, go back to part 7 where his mask splits open and he's just,
right.
The breathing. I mean, it was genius, the stuff you did like that. And that's the things that they needed to pick up on to carry it on through. You're right. You're 100% right.
So you could see some consistency.
Yeah.
In the performance. Well, he looks different, but he still does this.
Mm-hmm.
But just nobody was interested. So my Jason wouldn't do that. That's the response I got.
I was going to say, what did they say? Like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, my Jason wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You're Jason. You motherfucker.
I mean, this might be a weird thing to say, but I loved Jason X. I loved it. Jason. That was they went in such a different direction. It was something, where the execution was there that they missed out on Jason Takes Manhattan. The execution was there. He was in space. Everything's set in the future. And even the stuff with they did the hologram. Genius. That's perfect. That was all vintage Jason throwing people around and just, raising hell. And
we in the previous films, we had no more than 8 weeks of shooting. And Jason X, we had 12. So a lot bigger budget, a lot more time to invest into certain things like that. The frozen head kill is classic. And all the versions of Jason that I've been, which technically are 5 because of original Jason and then Uber Jason in Jason X, by far, the one that bothered people the most to look at me, at my face, was Uber Jason.
Those eyes.
Yeah, the eyes were so crazy looking. And if I would just stare at people, they were very uncomfortable. And this is considering the makeup in part 7, which is pretty scary looking.
Part 7, Jason, my favorite, absolute favorite.
Oh, mine too. But just because of the look and the fact that I had so many good stunts to do as Jason.
How long did makeup? I know, like you said, your look changed in all the movies, but normally, how long does makeup take for to get as Jason?
Part 7 was the longest makeup process because it was pieces glued on. It wasn't just a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And it took 3.5 hours every day before you start shooting. So I was ready to tear shit up by the time I got to the set every day.
Oh yeah, you were hot under the collar, as they say. You were ready to go.
And the Jason Goes to Hell one was very difficult to work in. I don't know why, but it was way more hot and uncomfortable than any of the other ones. So it was, kind of.
It was something to do with the head. The head was different. They almost give him a larger head in a way. So I could see where that would be, change the way you moved and moved your head, and and hotter.
The biggest thing I think was that in all of the other movies, at one point, even part 7, in between shots, I could take the hockey mask off. Now I still had makeup on my face, but taking the hockey mask off, I could breathe a little better. Jason Goes to Hell, it was built into the head. So it couldn't just be removed whenever I wanted it to. We could take it off for lunch, but it was a process. So you get out of breath and you try to catch your breath with something over your face like that, not easy.
Right.
Now, I was very excited because I am a huge fan of yours, and I saw you were doing the motion capture stuff for the video game that came out. And I tell you what, I spent more time watching the behind-the-scenes videos of you doing those than I spent playing the game. I mean, the stuff that just to watch the technique and the way you moved, and you put in your all into every single one of those things they had you doing, and it was disappointing that the game didn't do better than it should have. It really should have. I mean, they had a great premise. It was the execution where they kind of messed up on, but the idea.
I felt honored that Gun Media. Their only thought was it has to be Kane doing the motion capture, and I was like, well, it doesn't really. I mean, let's face it, it's not a movie. It's going to be motion capture. It could be anyone, but I love the fact that they think it should be me. It took almost 2 years for that motion capture from start to finish. A year and 10 months, and not all solid, but off and on. And it was such a different process because, first of all, what I look like, you already saw that. I guess I was scary in the movies, but maybe more scary wearing spandex.
And grunting and everything else. The grunting was my favorite part. He was making all kinds of noises.
Hey, that just helps my performance.
But method.
It's weird because you do things typically on a film to look good from 1 or 2 or maybe 3 angles. Simultaneously. Wherever the camera angle is, make sure it looks good from there. Multiple cameras once in a while. But motion capture is like 75 cameras simultaneously collecting the information from every possible angle. So it's challenging to do the stunts with the victims. I brought in all the stunt people, and in fact, every male victim in the Friday the 13th game is the same stunt guy named Ryan Stats. I used him for every single session.
You threw him all over the place.
Oh, I did. I beat the shit out of him. And he just kept getting up and let's go again. But it's just a different process, but I was just, I loved it. And, there's something coming up too that I obviously can't talk about, but stay tuned on that front.
Interesting. I like that.
The teaser.
I like that teaser. Yeah.
And if I told you, I'd have to kill you, which of course,
you could easily.
I don't mind killing Bishop, but
Well, you're in the garage. You got all the weapons, I'm sure, right there.
Right.
Yeah. So
you got a kill room right behind him. I mean,
right.
Yeah. Boy, I really thought this through, didn't I? Put in that background.
Yeah, that's smart.
Wow.
Smart.
You're
Man's
welcome.
always thinking. Always thinking. Now, something I wanted to say real quick was and I told this to Bill Mosley the other night, I always, when I go to look for a movie, because I watch at least one horror movie a night. If I'm looking for something new to watch or something I've watched before, I always look for 3 things. Either it has Tony Todd in it, it has Bill Mosley in it, or it has Kane Hodder in it. Because it's always you three will always, even if everyone else in the movie sucks, you guys' performances are always exactly what I'm looking for. And that I want to thank you for continuing on, for not letting the accident slow you down, and really proving to everyone that you had the goods, as they say. You had what it takes, that je ne sais quoi. You were able to get out there and really do it up. Now, are we going to see any more Victor Crowley? Are we going to see where are we going to see you next that you can tell us about?
Well, I mean, you know, I've done some films in the past year that have yet to come out. One that I really am happy with is called The Good Things Devils Do. And I play a character, a really fucking horrible guy. Once again, but I'm speaking instead of just doing silent killing.
Right.
And you guys know that I never anticipated ever doing dialogue early in my career. I just wanted to do stunts. That's it. I didn't want to be an actor and all that, but you know, as I went on, I saw that I enjoyed that almost as much, if not more, eventually, than you know, the physical stuff. So the fact that I have been able to do that as well, I feel very fortunate. But I have a scene in this movie where I've got two captive females, and the director left a 3-minute long take in the film with no edits, no reaction edits from the other characters or anything. 3 minutes long of just me talking. And you almost never get that opportunity because you have to edit and do stuff, but it works and it's fucking scary. It scares me. And I'm the one that did it. But so I'm very happy with that. And, you know, I've just some of the roles that I've been able to do in the last couple years are just something I never anticipated, and I really appreciate. And that's why working with quality actors like Tony Todd and Bill Moseley, I feel privileged to even be in the scene with them. And if I can do anything to help the scene, because I know they're gonna carry it and make it powerful. If I can add to it, I'm just happy to do that. And when you work with somebody like Moseley, who loves to ad-lib, which a lot of actors are not comfortable with. If you're doing a scene with an actor and they ad-lib some dialogue and you have to go along with it, that can throw people. And people aren't comfortable with it. Wait, that's not what you were supposed to say. Right. So it takes them out of the scene and they have to cut. But I love it with Moseley. And, you know, I think we talked about this somewhere in the past, the scene in the junkyard with the cop on Old 47, where the cop says, you know, anybody else here? And it's just myself and Moseley, and Bill says, nobody here but us chickens. And then he cut. Then we did another take. You already know what's coming because you remember.
Go ahead, yeah.
We do another take, and Moseley says, nobody here but us chickens. And then he looks at me, he says, show him the chicken dance, dummy. And I'm like, what? He says, show him the chicken dance. And so I had to start dancing around like a chicken. And I fucking loved it because there is no way that can look rehearsed because I didn't know it was coming. So when an actor is that talented, and Tony does the same thing, then when they're that talented and they throw something at you, I love the challenge, and it just makes it fun to work with people like that.
And that's what I was going to say too. If I can find a movie with more than one of y'all in it, like you were just talking about, you know, it's going to be a good night. I know I'm not getting off the couch. I might even pee myself before I get up to go, but I'm not missing anything. Bishop, what were you going to say?
I would say in that scene, the crew had to be dying laughing, right? Because you know they know the script, and it's like just you know they were just let them go. Like we're catching something special here, you know.
I know because if I remember right, there was some crew member that kind of laughed.
Right.
As if he thought it was like a prank on me or something. And he was about to laugh, and, the rest of the cast or the crew would laugh, but nobody else did. And we just kept shooting. And so I think they had to
They're all looking at each other.
Noise out.
Right.
Now,
Covering their face, not looking at each other.
something I wanted to ask, because I know you do a lot of conventions and things like that, and you meet a lot of fans, which I've heard over and over again that you're very cordial to the fans, very good to them. But every once in a while, I'm sure you get one that's a jerk or you get one that's crazy. What's the craziest thing you have seen one of your fans do?
Well, I mean, I don't often run into many jerks, to be honest with you, because I think that people know me well enough to know if you're really an asshole, I may smash you.
Right.
Because,
You're intimidating.
well, no, not just that. Just that, I have a job where if I go to jail for a violent act, is that going to affect my career, really?
Right.
No.
It won't even be on the back page. Yeah, it'll be buried by the cartoons.
Most people have to think, oh God, I better not go to jail. So I think that, knowing that helps a little. But the one of the craziest things was at a convention, a guy said, I know you're not going to want to do this, but if you would please do it, I'd be forever in your debt. And I thought, oh boy, what's coming? He says, can you just punch me in the face? I was like, oh yeah, that's funny. Okay, good joke. He said, no, I swear I'm not kidding. I'll sign a release. I just want to say that I was punched in the face by Kane Hodder. And I understand his passion, because I could almost see that me saying that to somebody else that I really admired. So even though I couldn't do it, I did kind of understand. I guess that makes me sound fucked up, but
you're arguing with the guy like, I can't do that, buddy. If you don't get out of here, I'm gonna bust your ass. He's like, okay, fine.
He's just pushing it.
I'm not gonna leave in.
But he desperately wanted me to do it, and that was a long time ago too.
Well,
I guess it would be kind of cool to be able to say that.
It would have been a great story for the guy. Yeah.
What happened to your eye? Well, Kane Hodder punched me in the face.
And they're like, no fucking way.
Oh, I got video of it.
Yeah, they're like, he's famous with all his friends all of a sudden. Now, if everybody hasn't gone out already and got your book, it's been out a while, Unmasked, make sure you go get it. Or do like I did. And I bought the audio book. And I put on headphones and I sit back and to hear you talking. And it's like I can see you now, of course, but it's like I can see you talking and walking. I can see the things that you're saying. So if people want a whole new experience as far as that goes, I highly recommend the audiobook. The audiobook is fantastic.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much, and that's why that kind of response from the book is why we did the documentary, and that has gotten such a tremendous response from people that didn't know so many things about my life, even though I would talk about them in the book. Somehow when you see, on film and hear the story and have other people that tell their side of that same story and stuff, it's just very compelling. And I've had such a great response from the documentary, and it's called To Hell and Back, and for fairly obvious reasons, mostly the burn, but other stuff besides that, the emotional stuff and all that. That's what people really relate to. The career stuff is fun, sure, but when you're talking and you talk about a circumstance that someone else can identify with, and they think, wait a minute, he knows how I feel regarding so-and-so, that's huge. And I'm just really glad I did it. I was a little concerned because I didn't know if I was supposed to maintain this image of being a badass or whatever, but I just decided I'm going to tell the story.
And it does help because a lot of people, like I'm sure Bishop has experienced, I experienced it growing up, bullying and things like that. And, to know that even someone is, no, of course not Bishop, you jackass. You were badass in school, I know. But it kind of like helps. It's like, one of those things where like, you know what? Things are relatable when we can relate to someone. It even brings you more interest. I think that will bring in your fans and give them just that insight, and not a lot of people will do that, and I think that's to be commended as well. I think that's awesome.
I'm glad that people enjoy that, but if I'm going to tell my story, I'm going to tell the entire thing, good and bad. So
do it your way, and that's what you've done your entire career from top to bottom. Definitely you've done it all your way. Is there anything, I know we have a limited, I've actually kept you longer than I'm supposed to, but do you have like anything that you want to get out there to let everybody go check out this, that, or the other? Do you got anything you want to shill real quick, get it out there to the public?
I hope people check out another film I did called 13 Fanboy. And we did this last year, and because of the COVID situation, I guess it's still kind of on hold, but it's about a guy that's obsessed with the Jason character.
Oh.
And does terrible things. And I play myself in it. And I get in a fight with this guy, and I have a dying scene in the film where I'm laying in the arms of an actress named Jennifer Banco. Now, if you remember that name, she was young Tina in part 7 when she was a little girl.
Wow.
And how cool is it to do scene with her as an adult where I'm now dying as a result of my injuries from this fight scene. And since I'm playing myself, I did the scene as scripted, and then I asked the director, whose name is Deborah Voorhees, for real. I asked her, do you mind if we do one more take of that? And she said, of course not. And I said, you're not going to know what I'm going to say, but you'll know when to cut when I close my eyes. Because I just wanted to try something. I've never been trained as an actor in any way. I've always said if I am talented in that regard, it's because I've watched talented actors in the past while I'm doing stunts.
Right.
I was always very observant on the set. And if I could pick up little things that they were doing, because when you're doing stunts, you're not involved in every single shot like a crew member is. So you can sit and just watch an actor or an actress prepare for a scene just by being observant. And I've done that my whole career. So anyway, the point being that I started talking about, really personal stuff. In fact, talked about my dad in this scene while I'm dying, and talked about exactly what I said before, where he didn't live long enough to see that I made the right choice and all this stuff. And I just ad-libbed a whole bunch of stuff while I'm crying and stuff. And close my eyes, they cut, and I open my eyes and look around, and there's crew members crying.
Pretty
cool.
You brought it from a real place. And when you bring something from a real place, people can feel that. You can feel the energy in a room. I'm a sympathetic crier. Somebody's crying, something's, really gut wrenching. I'll do it. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be a sympathetic crier about things like that. But
nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, that's. I can't wait to see it. The premise sounds amazing.
I don't know if she will use that take, if it necessarily works. Maybe it's too much for that particular scene. I don't know. But I was just very grateful that she let me do that, because, a lot of actors directors have what they want on that screen, and they don't want to hear anything else and I think those are directors that are insecure, to be honest with you. A secure director will give an actor a chance to do something, because you never know how it might turn out. So I was very pleased.
Well, our time is done. I can't believe I've already kept you way longer than I was supposed to. So I'm going to get
a pleasure. I appreciate both you guys. And
yeah,
I got to punch Bishop in the head next time.
Please
just
do.
a light one.
Right. That's right.
I won't knock you out. I'll just stun you.
And we'll look for you. We'll look for you at the next gathering of the Juggalos. I know you might get out there and
I do enjoy that. Yes. Twisted are my buddies, and the Impractical Jokers are buddies now, and there's a lot of perks to doing the job that I do. I get to meet people that I'm big fans of and find out that they like my work. So, it's pretty cool.
Kane Hodder is living the life. I'm telling you.
In my garage.
In the garage. Everybody's always asked me, you know what? If you ever interview Kane Hodder, ask him, can we see your garage? And that will be
2 birds, 1 stone.
It's compelling, I know.
I see 10,000 views just from that. I mean, people, that's what I'm going to put in the tagline. Fresh from the garage. I mean, come on.
Right.
Kane Hodder, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Thank
it's
you,
a real
guys.
honor. A true legend, icon. You're coming on with us again soon. I'm gonna badger you till I get you on enough times that I get a picture back here for this wall behind me.
Well, all I can say is to all you guys and all the people that listen to you, watch your backs.
And he means it.
Look at that.
That guy. Woo! What an exit. This man knows how to make an exit.
Wow. That's the first time anyone has got out that quick. That pristine. Oh man. Well, Kane Hodder, everyone. Yes, Kane Hodder.
What a guy. Amazing.
I wanted him at the end of his die scene, when he's about to close his eyes, to say, "Do the chicken dance, dummy," and then die. But that might help the tape. But yeah, cool, awesome. Well, Kane Hodder, thank you once again for coming on show. Check out his different social media platforms. KaneHodderKills.com. Is that his website, Mikey? I believe.
Yes.
Kane Hodder Kills.
And pick up the book. Pick up his book. The book is amazing. Watch the documentary. Anything and everything you can get your hands on related to Kane Hodder, I highly recommend. The guy is a genius and a national treasure.